wrote a book about Batman. What was it like for you going into the Batman world and creating a new story within an already established character?
It was incredibly fun and really intimidating. You know, it's the first time that I've had to play in this universe that many, many others have been in, and it's not my character. At the same time, it's fun because of getting this sense of collaboration with other people, but also I'm like, I don't actually know this character in the same way that I know everybody else. And everybody brings their own expectations to Batman and Bruce Wayne. So it's been an exploration.
How do you think your version of Batman is different than the Batman that we all know already?
The one big thing is that he is a teenager. He's 18 years old, and Bruce Wayne's life as a teenager has never really been covered. It's kind of this black hole. Nobody really knows what his life was like in high school, navigating, like, growing up, having his trust funds open for the first time. All of that is new. We just know him as a kid when his parents get killed, and then when he's an adult and fully established. That has been very different to explore and to weed out what his psyche might have been like when he was a teenager. You know, he was like double angsty. It's a book that's set before he becomes actual Batman, so really it's a story about Bruce Wayne. How do you harness the superpowers that you have at your disposal before you're ready to step into the shoes of Batman?
Yeah. Are there any girl interactions? Because we only see him interacting with other superhero women and not like a crush or something like that.
Yeah, he's got a BFF, this girl named Diane, who's based on one of my good friends in real life, and she kind of keeps him grounded and is, you know, someone who cheers him up and is there for him when he's down. And there's also the main villain in the story is an 18-year-old girl named Madeline Wallace, who he first meets in Arkham Asylum, you know, very romantic meeting place. She's the youngest inmate there and is very notorious. And he has to kind of figure out, you know, can she be somebody that he can trust, or is she playing him for a fool?
Is there anything you think we could take away from Bruce Wayne's experience, or something that we can learn about life through your perspective of Bruce Wayne?
One of the interesting things about exploring Bruce Wayne as a teenager was trying to find those moments of his weakness, because he is a very privileged person. You know, he has all this money. Yes, he's orphaned, but also he has all of this, you know, to his advantage. And so a lot of the book is about what is it like for him to navigate, you know, making mistakes and being wrong about things without having, you know, parental figures in his life other than Alfred, and his interactions with his city. I feel like Gotham has always been this metaphor for our world right now, and you see the way that Bruce Wayne interacts with Gotham. You know, Gotham is a city that is messed up and it's dirty and it's filthy and it's full of crime, and we're always like, why do people live in Gotham? You know, they're always dying off. But it's his home, and he's going to fight for it no matter what. And I feel like that's kind of a metaphor for the way that our world is now. There's a lot of problems in our country, but you still fight for it and you stay.
So is there anything else about Batman that you want to share?
Well, it comes out January 2nd, 2018. I hope you guys like it.
You also have a book, Warcross. You have a background in video games. How did that experience help you write these crossover stories?
It was absolutely the direct inspiration for writing this series. I originally, in my Legend series, which is my first series, I had a little bit of world building that I never got to expand on, and it was this society in Antarctica that was completely gamified. So, you know, you get points for going to school and watering plants and doing all of this, and that's how you get ahead in life. And I always wanted to play with that a little bit more because I love games and I wanted to write about that. And so Warcross was my way of getting into that. I wanted to play with this idea of what if the world of Warcross is pretty much our modern world, but with one big difference. There's a piece of technology that lets all of us gamify our lives, and there's a game that's just taken over people's lives. Most of it's set in Tokyo. You play this game called Warcross, which is a virtual reality game. But in your everyday life, you also see a lot of augmented reality, which is when you see virtual things overlaid over the real world. So you walk around, you can see people's levels floating over their heads, their, you know, how many likes they've gotten, how many hearts they have, how many friends they have, and the things that you do in life, like going into a restaurant, you level up. If you're really good at Warcross, you become a celebrity and you have, you know, a higher level, and people treat you better. They give you access to things,
kind of like real life.
Jobs. It's exactly like real life, yeah, but floating over your head. So it's an exploration of technology, both existing now and coming up in our society, and the ramifications of it, both good and bad.
Without giving away the ending of your book, do you personally think that if the world does head in this direction, that it's a good thing, bad thing, or both?
I think it's a different thing. It's hard to say. There's always good and bad things that come with every form of technology, right? So I think there's a lot of things that could be made better with virtual technology and augmented reality and AI and all of that. In the book, if you go to a different country and you speak to someone in a different language, you can see the translation right under your face. You know, you can visit places that you couldn't afford to go to, or have conversations with people that you would never be able to have. So there's all these benefits to technology, but at the same time, is it a good thing to be able to walk down the street and just kind of erase what you're seeing and replace it with something else? You can kind of erase the broken windows, you can erase, poverty because you don't want to see it. So it's a double-edged sword.
Is there anything behind the scenes you could share?
This is my wish fulfillment book. Amika Chen, who is the main character, is absolutely my wish fulfillment version of myself. She's a cooler, better, smarter, braver version of me, and I just really loved exploring the world in her head. And the book has a lot of my favorite things in it. Pretty much everything in there has some kind of meaning for me, or is one of my favorite things growing up, or was an anecdote from when I was working in the video game industry. It was really fun for me to write in that way. And there's a lot of little hidden Easter eggs in there for people who are gamers and also people who liked Legends, people who like the young elites. So I hope they like it.
I heard that your dog makes a cameo in the story. Is that true?
Yeah, he literally walks across the page for 2 seconds. He's like, hey.
Do you think that you'd be happy if it got on screen too?
I would love that. That would be amazing. So fingers crossed. We'll see what happens.